In Parliament, parliamentary sittings scheduled for Friday have delayed for more than 7 hours. This delay is said to be occasioned by moves by the governing NPP to introduce the controversial e-levy on the floor of the House and subsequently have it approved. Tonight, we're picking up information that the majority in Parliament is marshalling all its members to ensure the approval of the e-levy before the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, flies out of the country for the medical trip for a month. Earlier Friday, a meeting scheduled between government and the minority hit a snag after the opposition MPs rejected the finance minister's proposal to reduce the 1.75% levy to 1.5%. The minority insisted on scrapping the levy, arguing any charge will further burden the Ghanaian.
That the opposition NDC is seriously championing it, that they want us to get back to IMF, to get back to the World Bank to
NDC wants the NPP to get back to
no,
IMF.
but that's what they want to do now. Everybody knows about it.
It's a serious allegation.
I know you know that there has been a leaked letter. I mean, going around a memo.
Well, they say that letter is not true.
We are not novices in politics. We understand the situation. I mean, who would say that it is true? The fact of the matter is that the NDC government the NDC party doesn't want the well-being of this government. They seek the downfall of the government. They think that the only way to go is to push hard for the government not to have the strength to be able to pass this levy so that they can stand on it, to campaign.
Finally, for me, we know that the Speaker will be traveling tomorrow, and the e-levy appears to be the all to do to solve all the problems for you. Should the Speaker leaves, what happens to the fate of the e-levy?
I mean, this is another thing that we are also thinking about, a situation where the Speaker cannot stay in this country for more than 1 month. I mean, it's becoming so worrying. Nobody will like it. As much as we are praying for him, we believe that the Speaker should also, look at the situation and think about the country. He accepted this role because he thinks he'll be able to do it. And so performing this such responsibility is very, very important.
We can now go to Parker Wilson, who is our man in Parliament, for the very latest. Hello, Parker. What has been transpiring in the chamber on this e-levy?
Aisha, in just about 10 minutes ago, Parliament adjourned session for today to Tuesday to return and continue with their business. Now, before that, there was this whole back and forth about whether Parliament should consider the e-levy. Now, you recall that the majority leader, through the finance minister, had indicated to the House that they were waiting for some positive indication in the next 1 hour. So that hour came, and the majority leader indicated to Parliament that they should consider the e-levy. In fact, I must say that the minority leader, Haruna Iddrisu, raised reservations about it. Says it's late. It will be proper if they adjourn the House, return on Tuesday, and come and continue with business. And even the majority leader at the time even suggested that they should suspend the House for 45 minutes, return and continue with the conversation. But of course, the minority kicked against the move. Now, the interesting thing is that after the minority has raised concerns, the majority leader then comes to say that, well, I should side with the minority and I agree that we should adjourn proceedings. And so the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, who was in the chair, granted the motion. Haruna Iddrisu, being the minority leader, seconded, and the Speaker adjourned the House. But I must say that the NDC members were unhappy with the situation that the Speaker has adjourned the House. Al-Hassan Singini is here, of course. I didn't capture you on camera. I didn't see whether you were unhappy, but I want to know why your colleagues were unhappy that the Speaker has adjourned sitting.
Well, we are unhappy because we feel it has been a wasted day. We express our concerns through our leadership when, the Speaker, asks for direction from leadership. And we thought that even though it had been a wasted day, we needed to adjourn at that particular time so that we do not continue to waste so much time. Given that it didn't look like we're going to make any progress on whatever business government had for the day. And To our amazement, the majority leader was not willing to agree, because the House today, usually when we have extended sittings, make arrangements for extended sittings. There's beverage and they may even serve members lunch and all of that. That was not put in place today because we didn't anticipate any extended sitting. So we thought that members had made enough sacrifice for the day, and so there was a need for us to go. So we were shocked when the majority leader opposed it and suggested that rather that we should break for 45 minutes. I think that he was gauging our side. He thought perhaps we didn't have our numbers.
Is there a suspicion that the majority leader told you not have
Yes,
the numbers?
I suspect so. But then,
But did you have the numbers?
but then,
Was there an empty seat?
But then, when he won the motion, because he's in charge of government business. So whatever he says we should do, if the speaker agrees with him, we continue to do. So then we started mobilizing. I'm sure you noticed that people were now beginning to come in because they were in their offices or just sitting outside having idle chat. So they started moving in. I'm sure then he saw the numbers and realized that they could not bully us. So it was in their best interest, to adjourn. And then we thought that, given and you see, the majority leader must understand that he is just the leader of government business. He's not the leader of the House. And he has to always seek to build bridges, especially between himself or his side and the leadership of our side. But when he wants to run the House as if, the House was in his bosom and he decides what happens at every point in time without collaboration from, other leaders, especially those from the minority side, then he's always going to run his side into problems like he was about to do this evening.
But I'm curious. Your leader, Haruna Disu, had indicated that if we start the debate on the E-Levy, we will put the question to it. You could have started the debate and probably adjourned to return to come and vote on the matter.
Yes, that is something that we could have done. But in fact,
you start a debate, we should vote.
The majority leader was of the view that if we start, we must finish. And that is what we're giving the indication to him, that then we should either start now or, we adjourn. Because we were ready to start. But we're saying that if you were not ready to start, then we should adjourn the House because we had waited for too long. And clearly, they are not ready to start and they are not even ready to conclude. We are ready for any. We were ready for any. We were ready to start, debate, and either suspend the question or even decide on the question today. We're ready for any.
So what's the status of E-Levy now? You're a member of Parliament. I know that there was an addendum order paper. What's the status of the E-Levy? Is it going to come back on Tuesday? Is that the agreement?
Well, I think that the majority will be in the right place to tell you the status of the E-Levy. As far as we are concerned as a minority, our position against the E-Levy remain unchanged. Despite the fact that today at an extended leadership meeting, it was announced to us that government is considering a reduction of the rate from 1.75 to 1.5. They also, in fact, at that meeting, it was indicated to them that then they may need to come, with a new bill, because that will completely change the structure of the first bill that was presented. All these technicalities will have to be considered, even if Parliament will look at the proposal to reduce it from 1.75 to 1.5. But nonetheless, it does not change our position as a minority against the E-Levy. 1.75, 1.5, we remain opposed to it. We are determined to vote against it no matter what, in the interest of the state and in the interest of the people of Ghana, who variously have spoken against the implementation of this tax policy.
Thank you. And I'm happy your brother has joined me. The Lance Minister is here. Honorable, I'm curious. The NDC is alleging that your side of the House, they don't have the numbers clearly, and that is why your leader agreed to adjourn session. If you had the numbers, you would have gone through this debate. How true is this, sir?
Well, thank you very much, and very good evening to your cherished viewers. First of all, let me submit, and do so very forcefully, that this business in this House is not an issue or a question of numbers. I think this is the business of the Ghanaian people. We are here to conduct the business of the Ghanaian people. We are here to conduct business which will promote the interests of the Ghanaian people, the public interest. What is in the interest of our national economy? What is in the interest of the Ghanaian people? It's not about MPP having this number of numbers, NDC having that number of numbers. We are not, the greatest of respect, it's not a point scoring.
But when it comes to decision making,
it's not about,
when it comes to voting,
it's not about strength. It's not about who has strength or who can vote who out. It's about what decisions this parliament, this 8th parliament of our country should take, which will serve the national interest. So that statement by that we didn't have our numbers and so on and so forth. So far as I'm concerned, that is not the greatest of a patriotic statement to make. It is a question about what is in the interest of our country.
Right. Thank you very much, Honorable. And Aisha, I must say that the Deputy Majority Leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, is going to have a press conference, is addressing the media. So let's quickly go and get a bite of what he's saying this evening.
We want to assure all Ghanaians that pursuant to the steps taken by the Majority Caucus, and for that matter, the Minister of Education, Finance, to engage and deepen consultation. We've been pursuing same in earnest. So far, it's been positive. Suffice to say that it's not been conclusive. We believe that throughout the weekend, we would further get into this. We don't want what happened in December to repeat itself. And we believe that this E-Levy is an important legislation that would help government get the needed revenue. As you may be aware, the Majority Caucus deployed its membership across the nation to engage so that Ghanaians will appreciate where we're coming from. There are two things that government seeks to do with this levy: to look at the road sector and also tackle the unemployment situation. For the road sector, we all know that the fund is insufficiently funded. We cannot rely on what comes in to pay contractors. And in fact, if you look at road tolls, you are looking at around 6-7 million a month. Meanwhile, the demand on government to fix our roads is enormous. Week after week, MPs file questions, and you are witnesses to these on the House floor. So it's a serious matter the government wants to tackle. And then, of course, the youth and the entrepreneurship drive, where government now wants to look seriously at supporting our young men and women to start their businesses instead of relying on government to employ them. We cannot continue to allow our youth to walk the streets of the city after graduating from school. So these are important steps that government want to take to deal with these two major issues in the country. It requires the engagement with stakeholders, and I believe that is what we're doing. Surely we're getting somewhere, and I have no doubt on my mind that next week would have gotten to a level that getting the bill passed would not have too many problems. Already, we've passed the budget, we've passed the appropriation, and all of these were passed by consensus. What is left is the revenue to help deal with the expenditure on these critical areas. So, our friends in the media, this is the brief from us as Majority Caucus. May I respectfully allow for questions for me to clarify? Yes, we do Joy, TV3, GH1, and yes, my good friend from GBC.
Leader,
yes.
Next week you're confident the bill will go through. We do understand that the Speaker won't be in the chamber to preside. Is it the case that the first deputy speaker or the second deputy will have opportunity to vote when it comes to a critical voting decision?
Yes, TV3. Yes. Sorry, JJ.
Okay, so we spoke to the deputy minority leader, and he says your sides did not have the numbers. I just want to find out from you whether that's the case.
Yes.
Right, so I was going to ask a question as to whether you are able to convince the minority MPs to support it, because he said next week you are hopeful that you pass the bill without much difficulty. Does that mean that you've gotten the support of the minority in pushing through the bill?
Supplementary.
Yes.
So we are told that in a meeting between the finance minister and then the extended leadership of the minority, he had reduced it from 1.75 to 1.5. Can you confirm this?
Right.
I can.
I am unable to give details of discussions held so far. What I can say is that discussions so far have been positive but inconclusive. I do not want to respond to political punchlines, since same may have the potential of derailing all the positive steps we've been taking so far. I shall rely on my earlier submission and say that we are optimistic that if all things go well, we are likely to proceed by consensus. But that notwithstanding, we also concede that as a matter of principle, our friends have taken a position, be it ideological or party policy decision. And in such a situation, it becomes very difficult to build consensus. What you can achieve is to get their cooperation in disagreement. When somebody disagrees and cooperates, then it's all about nation Ghana. So we'll get somewhere. We'll get somewhere. I mean, whether we're able to achieve consensus or we're able to respect their position, to disagree with us, but cooperate within the remit of the process. Next week, God willing, once we have live, we'll be able to determine.
A question about the speaker.
I am in leadership, and I believe that anything about Speaker's absence from the jurisdiction will be duly discussed. Officially, no such discussion has come up. I am unable to respond to whether or not Mr. Speaker is going to be in the jurisdiction or not. But I believe that it is something that I will get to know anyway if it is the case.
So, Asha, that's the Deputy Majority Leader, Alexander Afenyomakin, there, indicating to us that they are quite convinced and certain that next week they will pass the E-Levy. But for now, the E-Levy debate has been suspended. Parliament has adjourned to next week, Tuesday, and they will come back to come and continue with the conversation. But from the majority side, they are convinced, and of course, as you heard Afenyomakin say, next week they will approve the E-Levy without any difficulty. They're expecting that they get the cooperation of the minority in ensuring that they approve the E-Levy. So today in Parliament.
You heard the Pakwesi Parker Wilson. He's our man in Parliament. Definitely, we are monitoring for you. We have all our lenses opened in Parliament and will update you as and when we get information.